A shared, engaged approach to leading literacy learning. Yes, every student succeeding is what we're all about at Woodridge and through the state. Engaged and sharing in the love of learning language and literacy. Here we see a group of students who elected to be in a book club during their lunch break with our teacher librarian. We want everyone to enjoy and be involved in learning language and use it in all areas of life. Literacy. Teachers, area leaders, year level representatives, community liaison officers, support staff, visitors, volunteers, parents and carers, as well as the assigned leaders of the school, all share their use of language and literacy and their keenness to learn and share with our children. Our children seem to enjoy listening to stories and sharing stories and are so enriched by being valued when asked about their experiences, thoughts and opinions. Before we go on, I just wanted to share our thoughts at Woodridge about collaborative, distributive leadership. Distributive leadership means mobilising leadership expertise at all levels. It's just not the assigned leaders. So at all levels means even our children can be leaders and they take the lead in many different ways. Our ground staff, our parents, our volunteers can suggest and take a lead along with us all. Our teachers and assigned leaders meet regularly to share weekly progress and programs with together. Time is also allocated for year level planning, discussion and moderation twice a term, after school in lieu of staff meetings, and cohort release once a term or for half-day focused PD, planning, assessment, collaboration. So while we have leadership activities and sharing, we need to set some time for this because I don't want our staff to be overburdened by extras. It's all provided at regular times where there's a give and take. We can share our expertise at regular times throughout the day, the term, in a natural flow. The implication for these for those informal leadership roles is that they have a key role to play in creating conditions for distributive leadership to occur. That's what we're trying to do at Woodridge. They have to create the opportunities for others to lead, and that's what we endeavour to do for our teachers, our students, our business managers, all given the opportunity to take the lead. I remember one of our past Deputy Directors General, she liked the image of the geese in flight. Patria saw that once the lead goose is getting tired, falls back and another comes forward to take the lead. We're all flying in the same formation, but we have another leader or another person or another colleague taking the lead. That's where I have the mental image of distributive, collaborative leadership. Our school structures for behaviour support, positive behaviour for learning, classroom support team meetings, and special needs advisory committee meetings show that we can allocate some time to support our staff in managing extra support for students. Each cohort has a representative for maths, English, HAS, humanities and social sciences, science, behaviour, social, emotional well-being committees and groups. Those cohort members come together with reports from the cohort to those representative committees, and they take back the committee minutes and suggestions back to their cohorts. So there's an interchange of ideas. Here again, that's part of our distributive leadership work. Support staff have twice a term meetings to share operational issues, but also they're given tips for supporting in classroom work. Our school has a statement of purpose which we find fits so well with the studies that you've just heard of from Clarence. Together as global citizens, we provide opportunities and we create futures. You can see a few examples of how we do that here in the photos. Language and literacy through the arts. Here we see in the art lessons, this class being a Year 3 class, but our art specialist provides non-contact support for from Year 1 to Year 4, where she provides an art program. She also is a resource specialist for the Year 5s and 6 teachers to gain extra expertise in the art technical work, the visual arts technical side of things. However, she links so closely with the mainstream class teachers that the literacy they're working, the language work that they're doing in Giraffes Can't Dance, the title of the book that the children worked on in that unit, gained extra support of the literacy work and knowledge, motivating the children to read the book over and over again, develop their understanding of not only the literacy structures, but also helped with their social and emotional learning. That although Gerald couldn't do the gypsy tap and the other types of specialised dance steps, Gerald did eventually dance in some way. The children were able to develop their own models of Gerald through construction, painted them up, and they were a hit at the school art show. The children gained a lot of empowerment and excitement in that integration of literacy, language, and the arts. We also have Anita on the right, and she is teaching in our new STEM area, some dash robot work, where the children are working on some procedural texts, being able to read instructions and also to give instructions using our dash robot coding work. Those children are in year 3 too. So that's exciting to see the engagement there. Children wanting to learn to read and use their writing and their language structures. Other ways that we put forward and create opportunities for our students. Our school has a community hub, 1 of 5 in Logan, 1 of 11 in Queensland. This hub is supported by the national and state governments and the Scanlon Foundation. They assist many new arrival families into our school and prepared our students for early language and literacy learning with their parents, especially their mothers, with playgroups, sewing clubs. The ladies don't just learn sewing at the sewing club, they talk and they learn their own literacy and language, because these ladies, we have about 20 or so coming along, they're also learning their English before they go to the TAFE course for their mandatory training. So we have a community feel of learning literacy, right from the pre-prep through to mums. The children are amazed at seeing all our community, their little brothers and sisters and their mums and dads learning the language of Australian English. Our school is a special place. Older students who come from a refugee background on humanitarian visas are enrolled in our Intensive English Language Centre. In that centre, or for that centre, we have 11 classes in a 3-tiered system approach. The new arrivals, the intermediate areas, and the transitioning ready for the mainstream classes. We have 144 students in our Intensive English Language Centre at the moment. We have 11 class teachers, we have 1 HOC, a head of curriculum, EALD, and 1 special education services hoses. And that is an integral part of our school, moving students along the band scales to finally work into the mainstream, all in a very sequential and engaging, supportive manner. Our student engagement officer enrolls students and monitors their attendance with classroom teachers and administration. She and the team take referrals to classroom support team meetings where attendance and behaviour issues affecting learning engagement are discussed and problem solved. Additional support plans are worked on by the guidance officer, behaviour and learning support teachers, and other leaders to support classroom teachers with these students. We are working together as global citizens, providing opportunities, creating futures. Of course, we are a state school and we follow the state school strategy of improvement model, a major influence. State schools are great schools, and Woodridge State School is by far a great school. We have successful learners. We know our learners. We meet our students' needs. Teaching quality. We have a systematic curriculum delivery in the Intensive English Language Centre and the mainstream. We are a community of learners. The principal is a learner and engages a lot with all the PDs that we share on site. We have a leadership team of dedicated leaders and learners. 2 deputy principals, one being a keen follower of the literacy agenda and another being a keen follower of the numeracy agenda. We have head of curriculum and well-being. We made that a feature where she manages the work of the other key learning areas besides English and maths, and also helps with the social and emotional development of our students. We have 2 heads of special education services, one working with our students with disabilities and another, as I've said before, in our EALD area. We also use the state school, the school improvement hierarchy, and we use that as a checklist to see how we keep travelling along the journey of language learning, but also school improvement. We use data, we analyse the data, we have a community of a culture of promoting learning. We have our explicit improvement agenda, we have systematic and a curriculum delivery, effective pedagogy and practices, expert team as teachers, and differentiated team teaching and learning. And that differentiation is extremely important in our school where we have such a vast and diverse range of learners. We are fortunate that we are supported well with the Investing for Success funds, and those funds certainly help us with targeting the right people, the right initiatives to support our students. And we engage with a vast number of partnerships through various universities, definitely the Australian Catholic University and the Queensland University of Technology. And in prior times, we've worked with Griffith University and the Queensland University. We are a community of learners, as I've said before. So in this learning, we find the inquiry cycle exceptionally useful. We scan and assess, we prioritise, we develop and plan, we enact our plan, and we continue to review and move the cycle along. A school is only a shape of buildings. We have to put our focus in on our students. Our student community is explained there as such. Approximately half of our students were born overseas. You can read the rest there. You can see that we are a diverse group. 75 to 80% are non-standard Australian speakers. We have about 8% of our students are Indigenous students, and it was one of those times when I was thinking, as Clarence was speaking, that our Indigenous students taught us something just last year when we had the Big Brother, Little Brother project, where we have Big Brother teaching Little Brother a game. And we we use those episodes and those strengths of the elders to come into our school, and we work together again in partnership. The Indigenous children were so empowered because they were able to teach some of our other students a new game. Woodridge State School Pedagogical Framework. We use the dimensions of teaching and learning at school. We consider the following as we plan and teach. We certainly consider our students. At the present, there are 766 students. Approximately 39% of those students are from a refugee background, and as I've said, 8% are around about or thereabouts Indigenous backgrounds. We have our support team, and I've outlined a little of our support team. We also have 1.5 guidance officers. We have a school engagement teacher, a full-time behaviour support teacher. In our allocative model, our school receives 3.5 special education teachers. In a school like ours, we need more than that. So using Investing for Success funds, we have a special education teacher in every year level. So therefore, we double that amount to support our students. We are able to work a special education teacher with a mainstream teacher in at least one of the classes in each of our cohorts that supports our students with special needs from a very sound foundation. Our pedagogical framework then goes on and talks about our team. And we have our team, we have a shared vision together as global citizens, providing opportunities and creating our futures for students. We build on people's capacity. We have strong leadership and distributive leadership throughout, encouraging people to take that step forward. We have coaching and mentoring. We have a coach for pedagogical processes. We have another coach for our humanities and social sciences, so that we can encourage people to use our social cohesion model for this. Through social cohesion, we can encourage the use of our visual thinking strategies from the Harvard University to be able to say, I see, I think, I wonder, in prep, all the way up to year 6. That's a thinking strategy. Very basic, but it's wonderful to see it happening in a why structure to say, I see, what do you actually see? What do you think's happening in that photo or on that page of work? What do you wonder? A basic strategy, a basic thinking strategy, but works so effectively. I even use it with teachers. So, when we look at the data, we talk about our 21st century learners, and you've seen some of the ideas there with the Harvard thinking strategies, the Dash robots, the science and technology there. We have 6 core systemic principles: student-centred planning, high expectations, alignment to the Australian curriculum and pedagogy and assessment, evidence-based decision-making, targeted and scaffolded instruction, and safe, supportive and connected and inclusive school environment, learning environment. We have a curriculum intent from the Australian curriculum across the 3 curriculum priorities, 7 general capabilities. We use a break it down, build it up framework, which we were able to obtain from and give lots of pedagogical training with our staff over 5 or 6 years from the issue area of Northern Queensland, where we break down some text and we build up from there. So that has been a successful strategy in reading and writing. And we look at what students need to learn and know. We give feedback from the prior units, analyse data, and we make judgments. We find the gaps and we continue to move forward using a sequence of teaching and learning. Our teachers differentiate what the students learn or need to know, how students learn, how they are learning, how the learning is structured, and so forth, using the different technologies, critical thinking, problem solving, and then we look at the students. The students are making meaning, build language and develop oracy, identify personal goals and set individual targets, apply skills and understandings to new situations. And we look at the assessment, quality assessment, tasks, specific rubrics and guides to making judgment. We use moderation at our year level meetings and our cohorts. We use an A to E standards and its discussion at our planning meetings with the various deputy principals, and we offer feedback. In our classrooms, who are our students, we use a great deal of data, which unfortunately won't show too well on that screen, but we do have our year levels, and our deputy principals and myself will talk about how our children are tracking. And we look at, certainly on, we take note of the students' backgrounds here, where we can see whether they're Indigenous background or if they're a student with special needs, whether the person has an individual curriculum plan, and whether there's any custody issues, child who might be in out-of-home care, whether the child has an English as a second language background, EALD. We look at their past scores, if they have any there. We have a look at their mapping of their achievements in our academic program. And with the deputies and myself, when we have our year level discussions, we can say, okay, where are we here in 2017, semester 2? How can we move that along for semester 1 in 2018? Or let's have a look at then, looking at the various probe results, this being a year 5 group. Let's look at how they're tracking. Where can they be moved along more? What strategies are we using? Are our strategies and progress being affected by attendance? Let's look at the travelling of attendance, and let's have a look at the effects of our strategies to build more engagement with our students. Let's have a look at, okay, this person here had some difficulties with behaviour in 2016. Have we managed to move that along? Yes, we've improved that into 2017, 2018. Has that transpired into improved progress? Some ways, yes. Others, maybe some more work needing to be done. Let's talk more about it. So that's the way we've been working on improving our progress for our students. We looked at our key learning strategies, our key signature strategies, and just to quickly go through our key learning strategies, let's move back. We have our English area of break it down, build it up, where we look at an oral focus, and then after we've just dissected the strategies used in that book, the language structures and the vocab, we then look at the writing, building it back up again and looking at the steps to improve our writing and giving students more time for bursts of writing each day. We have a look at the spelling improvements there and guided reading strategies. And as Clarence suggested, we are revising our guided reading to make it a little bit more rigorous with reciprocal teaching within that area. I won't go further there. We've also worked with the University of Queensland in past years, and we've used this model again, trying to give students an improved disposition for numeracy, which then transfers again, as we've talked about, for learning mathematics. So we're working through this continually within mathematics and our literacy work to build confidence, being flexible, showing our initiative and taking risks. So you can see the various models are linking our work so effectively. Here we've got our little bit of a discussion on our Break It Down, Build It Up program, which it's going well for our diverse language learners. And we see the impact not only in language learning, but in our other KLAs of the school. Our social cohesion work has helped us here again with our engagement of our students and shown through the Harvard thinking strategies that our students can be empowered to use their literacy and their thinking strategies in solving some tricky, controversial problems. Just as a quick side, when students develop a rainforest in their classroom and they've read about the forest, where the forest meets the sea, looking after all of that environmental work, they've made their forest, then a lumberjack was going to come down from the office, a DP, and he was going to cut down their forest. Well, they stood their ground. They said, no way will that happen. And so a lot of language work went through in being persuasive, using persuasive language, writing a letter to the principal to complain about the lumberjack being left in the school. And so our students, this use of the humanities and the social cohesion is true teaching where we can engage the heart and the head. Just to final, putting faces to data, we can see that we do track, as we've talked about before, and we can see that, let's go back. Our students have many different stories to talk about. The distance travelled, why did this child go down? Okay, attendance was an issue. He's just come from a different school and now his attendance had affected his year 3 to year 5 tracking. We welcome him and we look forward to engaging him in future learning. But you can see many of our students have started in year 3 here and we've made a difference in our language learning here for reading and writing. Where to next? Clarence has summed it up quite nicely. We've worked with the Australian Catholic University in reading engagement, where we've had a student talk about her negative reading feelings in the past, and then over a number of years with the reading engagement, she has worked so well, she gained confidence to read to others at the nursing home when the deputy principal took some of the students along to an old age nursing home, and this girl was empowered over that period of time to build confidence. When she had a low level of reading, now, or at that period of time when she went to the reading with the older ladies and gentlemen, she was able to read at level, and she gained so much feeling of achievement there. Reciprocal reading and vocabulary work we've done in the past. Targeted reading with mastery, we're working and looking forward to the future with Clarence and the team. I just can't thank Clarence enough for that, and we're transferring the targeting reading and through mastery not only within the reading sphere, but also we're doing problem solving in the maths area. So our year 4s are working through the reciprocal teaching work with our maths and maths problem solving. We are enhancing a shared engagement approach to leading literacy learning with students and staff and the wider community, as I've outlined. And it's wonderful to see the literacy partnerships continue, sharing a story in the Intensive English Language Centre and Hub, and we have our book club on the veranda during lunch breaks, and you can see the smiling faces of our students.